Welcome to Stories with Soul. I am your host, Jamey Ice, musician turned entrepreneur and co-founder of 6th Ave Homes and 6th Ave Storytelling. Over the past 10 years, I have launched multiple successful businesses and have become obsessed with all things entrepreneurship and marketing. I've been on a personal quest to unpack what it takes to make and grow a great brand. One thing that I've discovered is that stories are powerful and that storytelling has the power to set a brand apart. Join me as I dive into the stories of the heavy-hitting leaders, entrepreneurs, artists, and business owners in our community to hear their biggest wins, greatest losses, and their best business secrets. There's a story behind every great brand. Welcome to Stories with Soul. Stories with Soul is brought to you by 6th Ave Storytelling, an organic marketing company building standout brands on the foundation of story. We help small businesses grow by crafting and sharing their stories, because when small business thrives, cities and communities prosper. Stories with Soul is brought to you by the Fort Worth Business Press, your source for news and business information in and around Fort Worth. Sign up for the Business Press's twice daily newsletter or become an insider using the storytelling coupon code STORYTELLING10, all one word, to stay up to date with the people, companies, and issues that matter most to Fort Worth. Head to fortworthbusiness.com to subscribe. I am a huge fan of the Business Press. I've been a subscriber for years. It keeps me up to date with everything that is going on in Fort Worth. Love it. Go subscribe for the newsletter. You won't regret it. All right, guys, welcome to Stories with Soul. I'm your host, Jamey Ice. I'm joined by my good friend, Frank Moss.
Hey,
Frank, I'm about to read your bio real quick. Okay. So Frank, I've known you for a few years, and I'm crazy.
More than a few.
More than a few. But I'm about to read this bio for you in front of you. So Frank is a Fort Worth influencer, and I would say fashion icon. One of the best dressed people I've ever met in my entire life. He founded Franklin and God, I just butchered your name.
Okay.
You founded Franklin and Anthony, which is a bespoke suit company. Make incredible suits. You've worked in the industry for years, hosting and producing minor fashion shows, which led to styling for New York Fashion Week designers and major shows in Dallas. He has been featured, this is crazy, I'm about to read a bunch of fun stuff. He's been featured in Essence Magazine, Fort Worth Magazine. Fort Worth Magazine won the best men's boutique and the best tailor in Fort Worth. You've been featured in D Magazine, 360 West, Fort Worth Think, Fort Worth Weekly, Dallas Magazine, Dallas Morning News, and Crest Magazine.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about, fashion icon, and also one of the founders of Community Frontline, which is a really, really cool nonprofit here in town doing some neat stuff. We're going to talk about that.
That is the truth.
That is true. So, welcome to Stories with Soul.
Hey.
How does it feel when I say all that out loud?
Feels like a lot of people were confused and decided to write about me. I don't know.
And it's a lot of this has happened in the past couple year or so.
No. Well, honestly, I don't know. I would say
like all these awards and stuff has been recent.
Yes. So probably in the past 3 years.
3 years.
For the most part. Like a lot of those awards. But I've done so many different things that some of those just came
and you were an artist at one point. Like you were a rapper doing music.
And that's a whole nother list of magazines that I've been in.
That's a whole other life.
Yes.
Okay. So my question is, how does, especially being from Fort Worth, which when you think of fashion, you're not like Fort Worth, Texas.
I know. Yeah.
But you're changing the game on that.
I'm trying. How
did you, as a kid from Fort Worth, get into the world of fashion?
So it's interesting. I grew up in Stop 6, Fort Worth, Stop 6, east side of Fort Worth. And in that world, it's just, we're very brand, we as black people have just been very brand heavy, just because there was some form of status that just comes with it, right?
With what you're wearing.
With wearing, yeah. And so as I grew up, my parents, and it's not that they couldn't afford it, they just chose to do this. They thrift store shop for me a lot. And
did you have like shame because of that?
No,
did you feel like you didn't?
I was just a little boy. I didn't have no issues until middle school, when I started realizing all my shoes came from Payless. That's when the shame came in a little bit. Before then, it was the fact that my parents thrift store shopped, but their choices were crazy. And when I say that, I still wore Christian Dior, Polo, and with Ralph Lauren, just single Ralph Lauren, because
Really?
Polo and Ralph Lauren are different, but they're the same. And then I just wore high-end clothes, but they were thrift store clothes.
Yeah. But were you brand aware at that time, or like?
No, I had no idea. And I had no idea how to match, and my parents didn't make me. Because I have a picture of me wearing a red and black sweater with a green and white button down underneath.
It's Christmas.
I don't. It's a gang of colors, right?
Okay.
And so it was terrible, and that was my school picture. Like I guess they let me dress myself for that day.
Yeah.
But I've always just been a guy that.
So they were putting you in these nice brands, but
Yes.
but when did you like start caring? In middle school, you started to care about it.
So, not middle school. It was really high school.
Okay.
So before then, like just being honest, I always had low self-esteem through middle school and a little bit of high school, and then Quentin. Quentin Phillips.
Yeah. On the school board in Fort Worth.
He was Q. My brother. He just was like. He was the guy that kind of shaped me and helped me to understand who I was, because he was like, you have to understand that it's a privilege for people to know you and for women to talk to you.
He told you that?
That's what he told me. This is in the 9th grade.
Is that a lesson that has stuck with you?
Yes.
Say that one more time.
Well,
it's a privilege.
It's a privilege for people to know you and for women to talk to you.
Yeah.
Now, this hadn't stuck with me. This isn't something I go by.
Okay.
This is just something that he helped kind of push me when I was a 9th grader and he was a 10th grader.
Okay, so he's older,
Yeah.
automatically cooler.
So he was just trying to help me get this self-esteem and an understanding and pride in who I am, right?
Yeah.
So just watching him carry himself in this confidence, because that's how he moved in high school.
And today, I mean, he still has a lot of just energy. You're around him, and he's got a lot of energy and confidence.
And all my friends were just like that, right?
Yeah.
They walked around with confidence. They dated some of the prettiest girls in Fort Worth at the time. And so that's just who they were. So I watched them, and they kind of helped me build this self-esteem. Now, it wasn't necessarily the greatest self-esteem, but it was better. I had a little bit of high self-esteem. So I started caring more about how I dress and how I carry myself.
Because clothes and fashion, the way you dress also can affect how you feel.
Very much.
Yeah.
So it affected how I felt, affected how I looked and how people perceived me, right? So that's when I started really just kind of dressing well. Then I joined a group called Distinguished Gentlemen, and that they taught me how to. Well, not just taught me, but they had a requirement of you have to wear a suit every Tuesday. So every Tuesday.
This is in school?
This is in high school.
Really?
So we wore
You're wearing a suit to school?
A suit, or at least a button down and a tie.
Really?
So
That's fascinating.
We did this for 3 years of just wearing suits and button downs. And
that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
To me.
And then I'm in ROTC.
And what did people think about that? Like, if a kid showed up in a suit, I would be like, what's going on here?
Well, people just thought, some people had jokes because they were like, you're going to church. Yeah. They felt like it was a church thing, but it just was. It was just one of those things that kind of separated us in regards to just saying that we're dressing for a success mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
I love that.
It was pretty.
Cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we also learned how to tie a tie. We learned how to iron. We learned how to
which is kind of
put deodorant on.
The gentleman component of that.
100%.
And were your dads teaching you that kind of stuff too? Or like,
my dad taught me that because I already had the clothing.
Yeah.
But I learned different ways of tying your tie.
Okay.
So it wasn't just one particular knot.
Yeah.
It was a pamphlet that taught you all these different type of knots.
Yeah.
So you could understand how to switch it up and do things differently. But that was something my dad didn't teach me, right?
Yeah.
But then I did ROTC. ROTC teaches you a whole nother thing of making sure you stay clean, making sure everything's ironed, making sure your shoes are polished, making sure you have a crisp look. So on Tuesday, I'm wearing a suit. On Wednesday, I'm wearing my ROTC uniform. And then the other days, I'm just trying to be fly or trying to wear a nice T-shirt and look cool.
Yeah.
So that's where everything started. And then graduated high school, ran for best dressed, won. I think I won. I believe I won. that was also
So you were
22
you were
years ago.
best dressed way back. So back in high school, okay.
Yes.
You got into fashion back in high school a little bit.
But then college changed everything because I went to Prairie View. That's where I started the particular journey that started this thing that I like to call the wave, right? I call it the wave because it's God driven. Like God just pushed me into a whole bunch of stuff and I just rode the wave.
Oh, that's good.
So
is that part of your philosophy? Just kind of like ride the wave?
100%. I ride the wave and allow God to take me where he takes me.
Just when doors open, you're like, I'm gonna go through.
I'm gonna go through it. And if I'm getting close and that door closes, then that just wasn't the door for me. I just continue to ride the wave. So
that's a cool perspective.
It's
on life.
Yeah, it's
being
God led.
You kind of came to that in college.
No, I came to that in.
You call it now the wave. Okay.
I call it the wave. I came up with it like the understanding of it maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
When I was looking at this Japanese art. That's like, it's famous. It's a big wave.
I think I know what you're talking about.
So that's what kind of inspired the thought.
And then you're looking back on your life now, and you're like, all these doors were opening up.
And everything just flowed. So when I started telling my story, I started understanding the wave that was going. So what happened was in college, I went into a college mindset. So now I'm dressing nice occasionally. But as I continue to get older in college and higher, I start wearing sweats a lot more.
Okay.
And I start wearing T-shirts. We're still going and buying clothes.
And was part of that just like it's a lot of work to wear a suit, and also people around me aren't wearing suits.
Well, so
I will say I have seen you. I've seen you in sweats once.
You've seen me in sweats.
Yeah. So what one like you again are like one of the best dressed people I've ever met.
I appreciate it.
It's just fun. It's fun to see what you're gonna wear, and it's always elevated. I mean, it's like you got accessories. Like right now, you got a thing in your pocket. You got a beautiful watch. You got cool hats. You got these fancy socks. But one day you showed up at my office in sweatpants and a T-shirt, and I'm like, my mind was like.
Because it was work day.
I've never seen you.
It was work day. I was focused on work that day. But so.
Sorry, man, I interrupted.
Oh, no, you're good. So
college, you kind of dressed down.
So college, I started dressing down, but I also started rapping.
Okay.
Right. So what I'm doing now is kind of telling you how I got into Franklin and Anthony.
Okay.
So I'm simultaneously doing two things. So I started rapping, and while rapping, the dress code at that time, this is early 2000, we're talking baggy pants, big shirts, extra large shirts. Mm-hmm. I'm 135 pounds wearing extra large shirts, right?
Yeah.
So that's the movement. That's where I'm going with it. And as a rapper, I rapped about certain things. I rapped about fashion. I rapped about...
Oh, you're rapping about fashion.
I rapped about fashion. I rapped about cars. And I rapped about girls. Okay. Right? So that was the whole thing because that was what interested me.
And is your music still out there? Like, could you get it on Spotify and stuff?
It's on Spotify. It's on Dat Piff.
What is it?
My name?
Yeah, it was Quite Frank.
Quite Frank, yeah.
Quite Frank.
Yeah, and that's still my Instagram name and everything else. So, yeah, it's still there, just strangely. And
so this was like more of a rap fashion and style.
Well, yes, but I still didn't do so much in fashion, but I was just rapping about it.
Yeah.
But then in 2008, my cousin Matthew Nelson, BIYDIY, just shouting out to him. He has a record label that's in London and everywhere else, but it's amazing. But anyways, he pretty much kind of groomed me back. This is my younger cousin too. Mm-hmm. He kind of groomed me back into this suit and tie thing because I had got away from it because I got so comfortable just living regular life. Yeah. And so I started wearing bow ties. And so I became Mr. Bow Tie Guy. So I started wearing bow ties. We started thrift store shopping again. So this whole cycle of thrift store happened all over again. We started doing that, and then I just started dressing better. And that became the thing. Like, we wanted to make sure. So, can I cuss on it? I don't know.
You can cut,
Okay. So this is the mindset that my cousin put me in. So these are, and my cousin is also a part
older?
of this. No, he's younger.
Okay.
Like way younger. Okay. But he is a part of the Quentin Phillips, all these people, friends, group. And he said, one of the things you have to make sure you do is when you get dressed for the day, dress for the day. He said, get dressed for the entire day. If you know you're going to the club that day, get dressed like you're going to the club. Like, that's your fit. But make sure that you're shitting on everybody when you get there. Wherever you go, you want to be the guy that goes in the middle of the room and takes a big shit because everybody's paying attention to you. Okay. That's what he says. That's the mindset.
Dude, we got some great little nuggets so far. We got the wave,
the big shit, and everything.
Wait, so when you get dressed for the day, you're dressing
for the day.
Dressing for the day, but when you get there, what was say how you said that?
You want to be the best dressed guy in the room. You want to be the guy that goes and shit in the middle of the room. Something like that. So that's something I remember he said. So that's how I dressed, right?
It's kind of like if you're going. Someone told me one time, like, if you're invited into the meeting, show up in the freaking meeting.
Right.
Like if you get asked to be in the room, like, don't be a wallflower. Be in the room. Like, you're there for a reason. So this is that whole idea. Like, if you're gonna be somewhere, like, don't do it half-assed.
And bring your presence. Yeah. Make sure your presence is felt. 100%.
And do you believe that the way you look, like, it affects people? Like,
1,000%.
People make a snap judgment every time and that's just human nature. We make a snap judgment when we look at people, when we see someone, and the way you carry yourself and the way you look and dressed and are groomed makes a
big difference. And so I've heard that a lot from my clients. Like, so I have clients that come to me first and they wore express suits. That's the suits they wore. But then when they came to me, they said, multiple people have told me the way that people treat me is completely different when I'm wearing one of your suits. And it's because it fits them. It looks like they're of a certain caliber. And I know that just sounds strange to say. But when you dress and look like
$1 million,
people treat you like you're James Bond. Like,
and I like, if I see some of the stuff you wear also is like, you're wearing a camouflage.
I know, I'm wearing a camo jacket.
You wear, like, but I see that, I'm like, is this person famous? I mean, this is, especially in Fort Worth. Like, if you're in LA and you're in New York,
it's like a normal.
You're used to people looking really good.
Yeah.
Here, I'm like, dude, this person must be special.
I maybe so. I can see that.
I'll give you an example real quick of a lesson when we were first, like, touring, playing music. When I was, like, doing music stuff, during the day I would always wear, like, shorts and a tank top, and I had these, like, baby blue Crocs. The most so shorts, probably cargo shorts.
Yeah.
A tank top and
Crocs.
These Crocs, not rock and roll, not cool. But I remember we were on tour with this band called Need to Breathe, and Bear, the singer, one day was like, Jamey, you can't wear that. I'm like, but it's hot outside. He's like, you can't. He's like, people want their rock stars to be rock stars.
100%.
They need their rock star. Like, people are they're just expecting you to be this. And if you look like that, you're like letting them down. This episode of Stories with Soul is brought to you by 6th Ave Storytelling. At 6th Ave Storytelling, we know that stories aren't just for bedtime, they're powerful marketing tools, and we've seen what they can do. Want to see for yourself? Download our free PDF, The Storytelling Pathway, on our website, 6avstorytelling.com. It's everything your business needs to be successful. This is what I've used to grow my businesses and hundreds of others. It's a strategy that has led to #1 albums, built large followings, and has helped generate millions of dollars in revenue, thousands of leads, and tons of traffic. I've seen client after client reach their goals, which is why I'm crazy excited to share it with you today. I'm offering this for free because it's my personal mission to support small business owners and entrepreneurs no matter where they are at on their journey. Because small businesses are the heartbeat of a city, and they really are what make it special. 6th Avenue Storytelling has helped brands across the country grow their business using these exact steps. Head to 6avstorytelling.com and download the Storytelling Pathway to get your step-by-step guide today. Stories with Soul is brought to you by Fort Worth Business Press. The Fort Worth Business Press has been instrumental for me as a business owner. They were actually the first publication to ever cover 6th Avenue homes and also 6th Avenue storytelling, which were huge, huge wins for our companies. I also have been following along for years. I've been a subscriber. It has allowed me to keep up to date with everything that is happening in the business community and see what other business owners are doing and just stay involved in all sort of the economic development of what is happening in Fort Worth. If you are in any way involved in business, you should go subscribe and sign up for their publication, sign up for their twice daily newsletter, and they're actually offering a storytelling discount right now if you listen to the podcast. Become an insider using the storytelling code storytelling10, all one word, lowercase, to stay up to date with the people and companies and issues that matter most. Visit fortworthbusinesspress.com to sign up today.
I get it.
And
I get it.
But it's kind of like what you're talking about.
It is. But so there's almost like a free access pass too that you get on Dressing Nice.
Yeah.
And I say that because we used to go to the club.
Okay.
Me and my friends, we would and this is 2009 when we used to wear suits just because we were trying to shit on the club.
Yeah.
So we would go to the club.
Trying to shit on the club.
And we would just walk in.
Yeah.
We would walk past everybody. We'd walk past security. We'd walk past that area where you pay, and we would just walk. And we would just converse the entire time while we're walking. And we looked like, we're supposed to be here. We know what we're doing, and nobody ever questioned it because we looked
fantastic,
like a certain caliber.
It's kind of like having
like we were running.
It's kind of like having a clipboard.
Yeah, it was kind of like.
But it's also that the confidence too.
It's the confidence. But the confidence sometimes come from the clothing, from looking like the best.
And did you, as someone who didn't have a lot of confidence, when you're little younger, it's almost like kind of putting on your Superman cape or something.
100%. Yeah.
It's like when I wear boots, when I've got a heel on, I feel, that's why I always wear like boots on stage. They're not comfortable.
But you feel.
It just gives me something.
Well, when I get that too, that's something else. Because when I get a little heel on my shoes and I feel a little taller, I feel a little bit confident too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So going to the clubs.
So outside of that, then I started rapping about just more about fashion and these same things, but I amped it up and I started pushing myself as an artist. And so at the time we had
amped it up means in terms of like
amping up meaning
marketing.
I was becoming more focused on me as a rapper because at the time I was the part owner of Supreme Records.
Okay.
And so Supreme Records, Pink Slip Records, and The Slip. So as the owner, I was focused on artists a lot. And
so you were developing other artists. And I didn't realize you had a record label. That's crazy.
And so we had artists that had songs that played through Texas, some that played Gulf Coast, only in the Gulf Coast, and then some that went national and so on. So like one artist named B Hamp had a song called Ricky Bobby.
Oh yeah, I remember that song.
And so he was with us at first when that song came out, and we moved him over to CKB, which is an entertainment management company. And so we moved them over there because they could help amp him up and help him push further. Now that didn't end up happening, but at the time I sat down with one of the managers. His name is Ricky Booker, and he told me, he said, he was like, Frank, and this is the beginning of the wave. Okay. Like, well, the next part of the wave. Yeah. And he said, Frank, this is what you need to do. He said, I want to manage you and I want to be over you, not as a rapper, but just as an entity, as a person, right? Okay. And he said, I want you to go home and I want you to start trying to host fashion shows. Okay. And he said, so I said, okay. I went home, went on Facebook, and put fashion show host in my bio.
You just spoke it into the universe.
And as soon as I did it that week, I got a call.
On your bio where? Like
on Facebook. So in Facebook.
This is back in...
This is 2011.
There's no Instagram yet, right?
There is an Instagram, but it's very small. Okay. Like so, Instagram is not.
You just went on Facebook, updated your bio. All your friends get updated.
And I said, Facebook host. Fashion show host. Okay. That week, I got a call to host my first fashion show.
What does that even mean?
that means that God was moving me.
Well, yeah, I get that. But
I know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the crazy thing is it just happened.
You just spoke
I
it.
spoke it, and it just moved.
You believed
and so from that point on, like I just started getting opportunities to host fashion shows.
Okay.
So,
and what does it mean when you host? For someone, I don't even know what that means.
So
you're hosting a fashion show.
I opened up the shows. I told them about, welcomed everybody out.
Okay.
I introduced each designer. I spoke on what they were wearing, what they were creating.
And where's these fashion shows at?
My first one was in Arlington, and then I hosted some in Fort Worth. One in Arlington was
and people are doing
an event center.
They're doing the runway.
Yeah, they're doing a runway and all that.
I don't even know. I've never been to anything like that.
But what I did was I told them, I said, hey, while I'm doing that, can I perform during the interlude, like the break?
Oh, cool.
Or can I perform while the designers are walking?
Okay.
While the models are walking. So I did that at some of the fashion shows. But so that allowed me to get my music out and host at the same time. But then there was a time where the stylist didn't show up and they needed a male stylist. Mm-hmm. And so they asked me while I was hosting if I could also help with the styling. So I hosted and I was styling.
Okay.
And then
were you when that happened, were you like, I got this? Or were you like,
I was like, I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was nothing. Because
it was easy. It was easy
to me.
It wasn't like I'm overwhelmed. I don't know how to do this.
No,
you're like
I'm gonna tackle this. Okay. So from that, I decided, hey, if I'm gonna do this, I have to start networking and I have to start meeting people because if I want to grow in the fashion world.
And so you had made the decision. I'm gonna
start doing this.
That.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because I felt like I could be a Jadena. Before Jadena was Jadena, I felt like I could be the Jadena or the Joey Badass or just these people that are A$AP Rocky that have moved through the fashion world, right? Okay. And so I did that, but then I started networking. I said I need to network, so I started volunteering for fashion shows to do lights, to do media, to do whatever.
Just getting immersed any way you could.
Anyway, so I can start connecting and meeting people and talking to people, and that's what I did. So what ended up happening was I got a part of this team, of Stefania's team, who she was a PR and a fashion show of a design manager, something like that, right?
Okay.
And so she had a team that was a team of stylists and makeup artists and all these things. And so I started moving with her team to fashion shows, and that's how I started working in the major industry fashion shows. So that's where that went.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause there.
Okay.
A few things are interesting to me. One is with your rap career, mm-hmm. like rap, being a music artist or rap, whatever it is you're an entrepreneur. Like you're starting a business.
And when spending money.
You're spending money. Well, and it's like when you're a solo artist, it's
mm-hmm.
like you are a solo entrepreneur. That's a lot. You're building a brand. There's money component to it. And so one, like, was that was your sort of first intro into sort of entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And then that kind of evolved. So from a younger age, like kind of right out of college, in college, right?
In college, yeah.
In college, you're sort of learning business and marketing and branding. I think that's interesting. And then I think the second thing is interesting is kind of on both of those, you just sort of said, I'm going to do it. I'm
100%.
And was that hard for you? Like you talked about the confidence thing, or do you feel like at this point, like, man, I am confident in myself. I know who I am.
So,
like there seems like there's a attribute or a belief that you now have that I can do something. I can do whatever I want.
So the confidence is more of having the confidence I always had the confidence to do things, to accomplish things.
Okay.
I knew I had the ability just because, like we talked about earlier, my father being on the city council for 12 years.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that here yet. So
we didn't.
So your upbringing is also unique because your dad is.
Well, he was on the city council.
Was on the city council
for 12 years, and my mother was on the school board for 29 years.
Holy cow!
So
you're like a Fort Worth family, kind of in the public
100%.
eye.
Yeah. So
especially on the east side where your dad's
Yeah. And so both of them were in the same district. Well, in the same area, over the same area.
Isn't there like a school or something named after?
Yeah, my mother has a library and a school named after her.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she's big time. She's like a superhero. But
was there a lot of eyeballs on you as a kid? Was there pressure?
Yes.
Were you kind of a black sheep, like?
So I was treated differently
because you're you're like. So yeah, okay. One, we could stop there. So were you treated differently because your parents?
In school, I was treated differently.
Okay, in a good way or bad way?
Both.
Teachers are probably liking you. Kids are probably like, oh, they don't like you.
So teachers would treat me a certain way and were afraid to do certain things because of my mother.
Oh, so you felt like you could get away with stuff?
When they used to treat me a certain way in a negative way because they were kind of like, oh, well, he think he can do anything.
He thinks he's tough shit.
Yeah. And then the other side was I did get away with a lot of stuff. Like this is 1996 through 2000. I'm in high school and I had a cell phone in high school. People didn't.
But you were supposed to have.
Nobody even had cell phones in general. So cell phones was kind of like. What? Yeah. Nobody should have a cell phone. Like adults didn't even have cell phones.
Yeah.
But I had my mother's cell phone. So it was one of those privileges because it was kind of like, well, I have to have my phone just in case something happens.
Yeah.
But no.
My mom's name's on the building.
No, not at the time, but that came later.
Okay.
But that was one of the things that I had to deal with. But my parents and my sister's a nurse, my brother's accountant. Both of them graduated from Texas. My brother graduated from Texas Wesleyan University as well as my father, and I believe my mother got her master's from Texas Wesleyan.
So that's something like these are like your parents are public servants. They're like
100%.
Your brother's an accountant, your sister's a nurse, and you are like.
Well, I'm a rapper. I'm a rapper in college, though.
Were they supportive of that?
100%.
Okay, so they weren't like mad at you for doing that. Okay.
No, they always supported me with whatever.
Okay.
Because they knew that
are you younger?
Oh yeah, my brother just turned. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. My brother turned 60 this year.
So you're kind of the baby of the family.
Yeah.
And so so that's interesting. Your parents were supportive of you. Probably some of that confidence came from having parents who believed in you.
100%. Now, confidence in my visual, like my appearance, is where I was lacking.
Okay.
I had my self-esteem was low on my appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah. But everything else, I believed in myself. So that's why I felt like I could tackle anything. So doing school and running a record label where people like Slim Thug was giving us a call because he wanted to sign us, or people from Sony was trying to sign us. Like those were things that made us confident and kept me confident because I'm doing things that a lot of people weren't doing.
Yeah,
and we were the rappers. We were part of the rappers of Prairie View A&M University. We had mixtapes that we passed and sold all over the campus that people were just listening to on a regular basis. So it was...
What a wild world. Like, that doesn't exist anymore. You know,
it doesn't. It doesn't.
Where you like burning the tapes and like, yeah.
And it's crazy because some of the biggest DJs, one of the biggest DJs like grew up with us at UT, and it's not UT, at Prairie View in our dorms, and it's just so many artists that we were cool with. Yeah. Like we were cool with Paul Wall, and I used to work at his club, and then I ran into Jim Jones all these times, and it was just all these different opportunities that we were having. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I don't.
So this is interesting. I didn't know this part about your story. That the fashion side has been a big part of it. So when did you make the jump to like
suits?
To suit? Well, yeah, starting Franklin and Anthony, and like I'm kind of, you stopped doing music, and I'm like going all in on fashion, and I'm starting a company.
So so the way this happened, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing the fashion shows, and then a guy named Keon Anthony, who was a stylist in Fort Worth, came up to me.
The Anthony.
Who is the Anthony? He came up to me and he was like, "Hey, Frank, what do you think about starting a suit company?" Okay. And I knew at that time that thrift store shopping and wearing these clothes is great, but there was a next level. And the only way to get to that next level was custom suits.
Had you had a custom suit?
Never.
Did you know how to sew?
I knew how to sew a little bit.
Okay.
But not really.
Let's start a suit company.
So
I don't own a custom suit, and I don't know how to like make suits.
But he was like, let's start one. So I said, okay. And he knew how to sew.
This is that confidence.
But So I said, as long as I can get them for free, I'm in.
Okay.
Well, nothing's free. I learned that later. But when I first came in.
Third lesson of the day. Nothing is free.
Absolutely nothing is free.
Okay.
Somebody has to pay for the fabric. Somebody has to pay for the labor, the thread, the buttons, everything costs, right? Yeah. But I started working under a guy named Derek Robinson, who had a company called Persona. So I worked under him for about a year, me and Anthony.
That's another suit company or
Another
something?
suit company.
Okay.
But what I did was when I went in, I told him, I said, hey, I'm starting a company called Franklin and Anthony. Okay.
So you already had the name before you'd even made
already
your
had
first
the
thing.
name.
Yeah.
I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I said, I'm starting a company, Franklin and Anthony. We went to Fiverr and got somebody to create a logo for us.
Okay.
So we had the logo.
Yeah.
And then I went to him and I said, hey, we want to work under you, but I want to work under the umbrella of you. So I'm going to promote my business, but I'm always going to put you in the picture. So I put Franklin Anthony real big, and I put Persona real small in the corner, just to combine it. But I was like, we're under Persona.
So he was making your stuff.
Yes.
You were building the brand and selling it.
Right.
And now he was kind of like white labeling it a little
100%.
bit. Yeah.
Because I've always been about everything is based on branding.
Yeah.
100%. So I've been branding Quite Frank since 2001. So I'm going to utilize Quite Frank.
Your audience,
100%,
your following,
everything. Yeah. So I just moved it over to start talking about suits. Now, I stopped rapping in 2013 because I had made a song after I got married, and I wasn't remembering that I was married. Okay. And it got me in a lot of trouble. Okay. So because of that, I stepped down because I didn't know how to rap and talk about my real life, and I'm married now.
You kind of have this fake sort of character, if you will,
and it just couldn't work.
And I remember you had like a video and it was like women and
it was rough,
smoking cigar,
and I watched it,
and Mia was probably like,
I watched it again.
You put the hammer down on this.
Yes, it almost caused a divorce.
Okay,
so I watched it again this year, and I said, what was I thinking? But that's neither here nor there. So
can we
pause
real quick?
Okay, go ahead.
Other like you're also married to another entrepreneur, another kind of powerhouse woman in her own,
Mia Moss,
who does just talk. She has a coffee shop. She has her own brand. She has
a coffee shop. She created her own roast, so she sells her own beans, black coffee. She's the first black-owned coffee shop in Fort Worth, on the east side of Rosedale and Vaughn. My allergies are getting to me. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. Take some.
I don't have anything else.
I'm fine. We're good.
Okay. And she's been doing that she opened up November 2019. If you remember that time frame. Yes, it was beautiful. She opened right that Thanksgiving while students were all gone from the school, because she thought, we're going to get Texas Wesleyan to come flood and do it. Then they go on break. They come back. She has a grand opening in January. The kids shut down the school in March.
Oh yeah. Hold that. I want to get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to. But the point is, your wife is also awesome.
She's awesome.
Y'all are a power couple. She kind of is shutting down the rap thing.
Yeah, kinda.
Well, you are making the choice. You're like, this is not beneficial. This isn't beneficial.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I was also doing the suit. So I was rapping. I was doing suits.
Yeah.
And doing hosting on the side occasionally. Right.
Hosting the fashion shows.
Yes, but I cut the hosting off because I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But then I cut off rapping because it was pulling more money out of the household than I was making.
Because it's expensive to make music. It's expensive 100%. To promote it. Yeah.
And so the suit company, I made more money in the suit company that first year than I had ever made over there. So I was just like, it just doesn't make sense for me to keep doing this. And my passion is not the same because I can't necessarily rap about what I want to rap about. So I stepped away from music, and so we did that. We worked under them. And then during that time, I created, as I'm building my brand, I gathered my own tailors. I gathered my own fabric companies from all over the world. And then I told him, we sat down and I had a conversation with him. And I said, hey, it's time for me to move forward. And we shook hands and we were good. And then that's when Franklin Anthony actually branched out and became its own entity.
What year was that?
What year is this? It officially became its own entity in 2015.
Oh, okay.
So I started working with him in 14. So 2015. And so, yeah.
And at this point, you now know how to make suits. You know where they come from. You know what goes into the business side of it.
I do.
And you said, I'm going all in. Did you have to raise money to do that? Did you have to
No.
Is it expensive to do that?
Not for me.
Okay.
So I say, and it sounds weird to say, but the thing is, I started understanding. I had an understanding of entrepreneurship and how money should flow, right?
Yeah.
So the way this business worked was nothing gets made until money is paid.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's just what it is. So once that money, I know you're
running another. This is our fourth grade. That's a good business model. Yeah. Nothing gets made until something gets paid. Yeah.
So the money is brought in. They provided the money, and then I created. But at that time, my whole focus was more on marketing and reaching out to people and trying to get things going and creating content and stuff like that. So, and doing the business, because a lot of people don't understand, as an entrepreneur, there's so much business and work that has to be done outside of the actual work of the product.
Of making a product.
Right. Yeah. It's a gang of work.
Such as?
Creating the orders, researching the details, constantly researching and learning how to do things, making sure that you're ordering the fabrics, you're ordering the supplier, everything's moving as it's supposed to, you're updating clients, you're updating.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah, it's just so much organization.
In addition to what you were just talking about too, content.
Right.
You are a content creator.
And if I don't do that, then nothing comes in.
If you're not posting, and a lot of the content is of yourself,
right?
Because you kind of are, you're the brand,
and that's
and you're showing people here's what success looks like. Here's what style looks like.
Yes.
And you started building a big following.
Yeah.
You have a big following.
I have a pretty good following.
Yeah, but that's part of it. You're showing, hey, if you want to look like me,
and that's what it takes. And so it takes so much behind the scenes. So right now, I tell people, I don't have time to create or make any suits. So that's why I have tailors.
Oh yeah,
so. Because I really don't.
And are your tailors, are they overseas?
So
aren't most custom suits made overseas?
Most of them are. Okay. Some of them aren't. Like Philip Maximilian, who's in town. But then I also have a tailor in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
So Shayla, she makes some of our stuff too.
But the key is you're the one saying, man, this is the fabric you got to do.
Yeah.
This is the style. Because people can make a suit. Doesn't mean it's cool, or doesn't mean it's relevant. But
it's also a fact of there's so many details that you have to understand. Like as a clothier, or what you would call me.
Is that what you'd be called, a clothier? Okay.
And so I'm going back to school to brush up more on my tailoring.
Okay.
But I have to understand the body too. So I'm paying attention to people's shoulders. I'm paying attention to people's arms, the way they stand, how where their issues are physically, just based on their body shape. There's so many things that you have to take in consideration when you're building a suit for people, because everything plays a part. So some people have this thing like when I work with people who drive a lot, they have this slump thing to where one shoulder's down and one thing is up here, because this is how they drive. Yeah. So because of that, I have to take those into consideration, understanding the type of padding for the shoulders, the type of padding for the body. If they're a bodybuilder, the type of cut works best for them, the type of lapel, the width based on their shoulder stance. If they have a butt, if they have flat butt. Sometimes people who have no butt at all, I have to create a butt with their pants. So it's so many things that you have to do.
Sculpting. I gotta make people look good.
That's the plan.
And that's why when you go to Men's Warehouse or something and just put this box on,
just putting the box on,
it makes people look bad.
True, but it's even more than that. So if you go there to Men's Warehouse, just an example, and then you get measured for a custom suit there, they'll take I believe they take like 20 measurements, right?
Okay.
But we alone take 30 measurements for a man, and women are over 40.
Wow.
But those measurements also come into play with understanding the body and understanding some of the things that they have going on, and then giving them full detail in control of exactly how they want their suit to be. So some people are just like little funky things, like a red button, like similar to this, right? But some people, there's just certain details that people want.
Yeah, if you're listening and can't see this, I mean, like, what is that? The buttons on your sleeve.
So basically, I have surgical, what they would call functional or surgical buttons.
Okay.
4 of them, and then there's 4 colors on my button,
and that looks
on my cuff.
crazy. And those buttons look crazy cool too.
Yeah, these are India coins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what they look like, 1/4 Indian coins. Yeah.
And that's part of what people are going to you for. They're like,
it's the custom.
Make me look good with all the measurements and stuff, and then tell me what to wear.
Well,
everyone has their own style. You find people's style. You're helping people.
And I'm also giving them an experience too. So that's
talk about that. Experience is a big part of it too, right?
So 100%. So that's the difference between me and a lot of other people is the experience I provide people. So a consultation is what they book, and they come in and they sit down. It's normally an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Wow.
We sit down. We drink. Sometimes drink water, champagne, wine, or bourbons, or scotches, or
because you're like a bourbon connoisseur, right? Or whiskey connoisseur.
Whiskey,
okay.
Yeah. I have 2 bars.
Okay.
So we drink, or we just enjoy ourselves, and then we
because you want it to be it's experience. It's supposed to be fun,
but it's also me getting an understanding of who you are and how you move, how you feel, how you think.
So you're kind of analyzing them
and understanding the person. Yeah. So we can build something that you like.
Yeah.
And then we choose a fabric together, and then we create the suit together. So, and I help walk you through it, give you an understanding of what things look like, what would be best on you. But I want you to be a part of the experience, so you can feel like, we created this, and this is what I wanted. So, and then we take measurements, and then after that, you come back for a fitting. So it's this good experience.
And does the space kind of have a vibe to it too?
Yeah, the space.
You have a bar.
Yeah, the space is pretty dope. I've heard that a lot. But
and that's part of the vision. It was like,
it's part of the vision. Yeah, and it's
if they're spending that much money, part of it is like you want it to be
an
fun.
Experience, right? But I want you to. But you also walk away understanding what you just bought too. Like you learn, like you're taught about a suit. So you have knowledge to where if you don't come back to me, at least wherever you go, you can look at it and say, this is what that is. This is what that is. How come I don't have the option of this or what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of arm you so you're able to be able to call out who's for real and who's not. Yeah. So
that's cool.
I do that on purpose because I'm for real.
And what you're setting the bar. You're setting the bar high. How would you describe your style? Like if you're getting a Franklin Anthony suit, like you have a unique style. So that's different than other people doing this. Right?
I've heard that a lot. I have no idea.
You don't know how you would articulate it?
I have no idea because I don't even know. I don't even see the difference.
Really?
I don't.
You don't think?
I don't see the difference. And so one of the things is people when they come to me. So people come to me, and some of them have never seen the way I dress or anything. Because a lot of my business, the way I get business is I get a lot of referral business. In social media. So social media is people who've seen me before, but the referrals are people who have never seen any of the way I dress or anything. Okay. They're just being pushed my direction.
Someone's like, someone's like, where'd you get this suit?
Yeah.
I got it from this guy. Go see him.
Right.
That's a great, that's like the best customer, right?
And 100%. And some people are coming to me and saying, I'm a simple guy. So we create a simple look that makes them feel comfortable.
Okay.
So...
But I would assume a lot of people are coming to you because of your style.
They do.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to have my style. I'm not trying to make a lot of carbon copies of myself. I'm trying to help you be you.
Yeah, I see that. I see that, but I still think they're buying into you as the brand, and you have this thing.
Yeah,
and it's a little flashy. It's a little like
it
fun.
Is.
It's fun because when I like hear the word suit, you know, probably as a kid or something, like I'm thinking of like business people or
your dad.
My dad. Wearing. But it's like for you, it's like this is a fashion statement. This is it's not your grandpa's suit. That's what I mean. It's very different. And in Fort Worth, it's pushing the envelope.
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is good. I feel like you have helped kind of usher in sort of a new style. Can you talk a little bit too about the Black Dandies?
So, we don't do Black Dandies anymore.
Oh, you don't?
But Black Dandies is an organization that we started, but it's just not an organization. So Black Dandies is...
But there's this movement
yes.
of like black men dressed in freaking fancy cool suits.
100%.
Y'all came downtown Sunday Square and it's like just all these, and people are like, are they famous? Are they movie star? Like
it was cool, yeah.
But that is a new movement, sort of that I feel like you've helped start in DFW.
Yes, but it's interesting.
Okay,
so Black Dandies goes all the way back to Congo, right?
Africa.
Okay. So Black Dandies was because there's Congo Black Dandies, right? So these are people who wear loud suits. And that's just what we've done. Like in Africa, we're known for wearing, if you look at the prints that we wear, they're bright and loud. So even our suits then are bright and loud, and we wear a lot of gold and we wear a lot of accessories. Mm-hmm. Like that's just a whole part of it. It's a flashy peacock type of thing, right? So what happens is the dandelion, what they called it too, is another name of it, transferred to, came to America. So people like Mos Def and Common and Andre 3000 and just these different people have been a part of the Black Dandy movement. So wearing like Janelle Monáe, wearing, and not just men, but men and women, wearing.
Because you do a lot of suits for women too.
I do, like crazy lately. But a lot of accessories. So you might do a whole bunch of accessories. You might do a loud suit. But even if you don't do a loud suit, you're wearing something that is a standout piece because that's what you're doing. You're standing out and you're not doing the sartorial look. And sartorial is like England, London, suits, the basic that you're talking about, right? The traditional look.
Like a banker.
Right.
Yeah.
The traditional look. And we're standing outside that traditional look because Black Dandies originally, the dandy movement originally was about standing up against the government or standing up against some form of oppression to say we're here and we're loud and we're expressing ourselves through our clothing.
And we have a lot of pride.
Right.
Yeah. So, but you started that kind of in... I don't know if I'm putting it all on your shoulders, but all of a sudden I'm seeing a lot more people dressing like this, and I think the common thread in a lot of it is you organizing and showing people here's a really cool way
definitely
to live and dress. And,
so I will definitely say that I did start it in DFW.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Like, so there's a company called Black Menswear who has taken it on their shoulders and has moved it all over the nation and has done great things with it. And they started theirs in Dallas. That was where they did their first one. And we were part of their first one and their very first photo shoot that they did. Yeah. But before then, we did start it before then. We brought the Black Dandies and we created this loud look of distinguished looking black men in suits.
And can you do the hashtag, like hashtag Black Dandy? Just look it up on Instagram. It's really cool. Y'all did all these photo shoots and the content and stuff is, I mean, it's cool.
And I can't even remember who did our first photo shoot.
Okay, so I wanna go back a little bit.
Okay.
Because you just made this whole thing sound, well, granted, you caught a wave.
Yes.
But you made it sound very easy. This is so easy. This is so fun. I just started this thing. I know it was not that easy. And I know it costs money and there's time and blood, sweat, and tears. Can you talk about just some of the struggles involved? Like was there any point where you're like, this is not working. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm regretting doing this. Or like,
so no.
Okay. Not that, but
never have I thought about throwing the towel.
But was there anything where you're like, this is hard. This is not going well?
there was a point of the struggles were women's suits.
Okay.
Because I thought about that. One of the things is, because I've been asked that question a lot, things have always flowed well with me. So this wave thing I talk about, putting it on the page, moving into Franklin Anthony, the business has always just flowed my direction. Like, I don't do heavy marketing. I don't do any of that type of stuff. Business just flows from good referrals and word of mouth.
Yeah. You're doing marketing. You're not paying for like advertisements and stuff.
It's just
You're
it's
just producing
moving.
cool content. Yeah.
Right. So what happens is I was moving into, so I have a lot of struggles. A lot of struggles are, I was moving into women's suits, and this was about 3 or 4 years ago. And everything that was going on always had issues. Everything.
Like your finished product had issues?
Finished product had issues. So the tailor that I was working with at the time, he would make beautiful pieces for women, like dresses and all this other stuff. But then when he would make these suits for me, they would come out terrible. And so then I would lose money on the fabric. I would lose money, and I would have to give money back to the person.
Okay.
I've lost out on.
So your whole, what was it? Pay, then you get it.
Yeah. That was not working.
Because now I'm having to refund. I just made this suit, and now it just cost me money.
Yeah, and I've already spent like $300 or $400 on fabric and supplies. So now I'm losing on that, and it just constantly kept happening with delays and me just having these things that happen in the women's, and it came to a point to where I was just like, maybe I shouldn't do women's suits.
All right, guys, we're interrupting your podcast experience once again.
I know. I'm sorry.
But we are giving you something for free.
So it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
We recently released a document called The Storytelling Pathway on our website. It is our playbook for success, for growing brands, for marketing. That's literally everything that we do at 6th Avenue Storytelling, and we want to share it with the world. We want to give it to you.
So in addition to these nuggets that you're learning on this podcast, you can get our free playbook, free manual for how you grow your business from
6th Avenue Storytelling. Yeah, it's the storytelling, and it's really, really good.
Where do you find it?
At 6thAvenueStorytelling.com.
There you go.
And it's good. Go get it. Go download it. I promise it's going to help your business.
So yes, I did throw the towel in on that one for a second, but then I came back because I never could give up on it. But that was the issue of trying to land women's suits, because I knew it was money in that world, and I don't want to miss out on this because this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
But then the next thing that was an issue was stepping away from my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Because I started this in 2015.
So it was a side hustle at first.
It was a side hustle.
It was a side hustle.
So from 2015 to 2018, I'm working at Chase Bank.
Yeah.
That I had been working at since 2011. And so I was working in the mortgage department. I was getting paid really well.
Yeah.
And I did a song about that too. It was called Man versus Slave. And it was the battle of, for sure, money. Like, do I want to be a slave to the industry, to the corporate America, or do I want to be a standalone man that's working for myself, right? So that was the battle that I was constantly going through.
That's always a struggle. That's like before you take the leap, it's like, can this dream support it? You know?
Yeah. Just making sure it's not. But yeah, so 100%. So I had one client who's still my client today from 2015. He told me, he said, this is the thing. You want to at least have 40 rotating clients. If you can have 40 rotating clients, then you can step away from everything. And I was like, 40 rotating clients. Okay, that's what I'm going for. So I started.
So you had a number.
I had a number.
That's cool. That's cool. You sort of had. That's almost like your business plan or your pro forma. Your. And I don't know how to make performance and business plans. Yeah. I've never done that.
But I didn't stick to it.
Okay, you didn't.
So that's what I was gonna say. That was the idea. I thought about it, but I didn't stick to it. I just said to myself, well, I need to have a lot of clients because I'm not going to sit here and count to 40.
Okay.
So I stuck to it, with that mindset. But then it got to a point to where 2018, I was working in Louisville. And this is where I took that leap of faith to go full in, right? I said, I'm just going to jump right into this. So 2018.
Did you have a lot of clients then?
I had clients. I had a lot of clients, but.
And I'm assuming you're worn out.
I got to a point to where I'm working on Franklin and Anthony at Chase all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where my focus is.
Yeah.
And I'm really not so much focused on Chase.
Yeah.
And so it got to a point to where Chase, the building, was moving to Frisco. And I said, I'm not moving from Louisville to Frisco to drive because that's an additional $200 in tolls.
Yeah.
And that's extra
Time,
gas and time and traffic. And they're not paying me more.
Yeah.
So I told God, I said, hey, I need to get out of here by this summer because they were leaving and they were moving in December of, this is 2017, the summer 2017, and they said they were moving January 2018. I said, I need to get out of here.
They kind of forced your hand a little bit.
Right. 2017 came, and I looked at my profit and how much I was making a year, and it just didn't make sense. So I said, okay, I don't think I can do this yet. And God didn't say it was time. This is just me telling him 2017 I'm moving.
Yeah.
So I looked at it and I said, I can't do this. But Frisco got pushed back an additional year because they said, we're going to push this back because we still have time on this building. So they said, we're leaving January 2019.
Okay.
I said, okay, well, this is it.
I got a year to
get
go
my stuff
get a lot
together.
more clients. Yeah.
And so January 2018, I said, I'm leaving this summer regardless. I said, God, work with me. So the time is coming. 2018 shows up.
Mia's supportive of the
Mia's 100%.
She's like,
supportive.
you need to
She's
do
like, as long as you think it makes sense, I got you.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
But you got kids, you got like the weight of
2 boys.
Yeah.
She's still working at middle level, so the black coffee's not here yet. So May 2018 comes, and I say, okay, I need to get out of here because I just can't do this. It was dealing with depression. I was having issues at the house with my oldest, just trying to help him out. And so I was just like, I can't do this. I have to get away from here. And I'd have to focus on my business. I called Troy. I don't know if you know Troy. You know Troy, I think. Troy Washington. He's a real estate agent.
Okay. So
I called him and I said, hey, I got to find me a showroom.
Yeah.
I'm going to just go ahead and start moving.
Okay.
So we go, we find I find a place myself. I say, let's go check it out. We go look at it. It's right next door to Canaan's Chinese restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And then I look at it and I say, Mia, what you think? And she says, I like it. Troy says, I like it too.
But you got to sign a lease.
Yeah. And I'm like,
that's a lot of money.
It is. But I said, I like it. Okay, I'm going to do it.
So you signed this piece of paper?
Not yet. Okay, I'm getting ready to sign.
Okay.
But I had to talk to my business partner at the time.
Yeah.
I go to work the next day. They call me into the office and they lay me off.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't do anything but get excited.
Okay. Oh, you were excited when they laid you off?
I was excited because the difference was I was about to quit.
Yeah.
When you quit,
you don't get
anything.
Yeah.
They laid me off the next day after I found my showroom. I said, this is God talking to me, right? This is the wave. This is God sending me on my next wave.
Yeah.
And so I called my business partner at the time and I said, hey, this is what happened. I just got laid off. He said, well, if God laid you off the day after you think you found the showroom, I'm with it. I don't even have to see it. So I said, okay. But this is the kicker, too. I had an option. When they laid me off, they offered me another job. It was a lateral position, so I got paid more doing the same exact thing in a different department. And I looked at it and I said, this is just God testing me to see if I really want to be here. So I told him no.
Okay.
And so I just moved. I just said no and I left.
Yeah.
And that was it. From that point on, everything picked up.
Were you freaking out that night, or were
No.
you happy?
I was happy.
You had peace.
I had peace.
You weren't like, how am I going to pay the bills?
Not even a question.
Wow, that's so cool.
Everything took off.
And as part of that, your faith. You're like, you're like, I feel like God's also is behind this and opening these doors.
Because I felt like I went home and put fashion show host on my bio again.
I got a space.
Yes, I felt like it because I felt like
That's
I got a call.
that's a good image that I put. That's another. I put fashion host on my bio. It's kind of like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna figure it out.
And it's just been flowing. So we were in that building for 2 years. My business partner at the time is no longer my business partner, but we moved. We bought a building June 1st of 2020 during the pandemic.
Oh, you bought a building?
We bought a building.
Wow.
We moved in.
Where's that building at?
It's on Lancaster and Yeager Street on the east side of Fort Worth because we wanted to move our businesses back to the east side of Fort Worth.
That's in your blood. Like
that's where we are.
Yeah.
And so we moved back, and it's a beautiful space. Mm-hmm. It's way bigger. It's beautiful. And business is just flowing. I tell people last year was the best year I ever had during the pandemic, 2020, which is crazy.
Really?
2021, I beat last year by July.
You've already beat it.
I beat it by July.
And you still have 6 months to go.
And I still had 6 months to go, but then July ended up being the best month I've ever had in my life.
Yes, dude, that's crazy.
And then it's just been flowing. So
yeah. And a lot of that's favor and just...
And trust, yeah.
And trust. What was I think there's something to that idea of changing the bio. changing the bio. I have always been a believer in, as long as you know why you want to do something and you know the heart behind it and you believe in it, you can always figure out how to do something. How you do it, you can figure it out. But I think that, and that's kind of been how I've always operated. I'm like, I know that I think there's a need here for this. I know why I want to do it. I feel like my heart's in the right place. I feel like God's opening doors.
For sure.
I'll figure out how to do it later.
And you've done so many things, like a lot of great things.
Some of them, some of them work, some of them haven't worked. But you figure out how to do it. You push it like you don't have a plan B. Yeah, you burn the ships.
That's it.
Yeah,
and that's what I've done, like with everything. So Community Frontline, we opened that up, we moved that.
What is Community Frontline?
So okay.
This is going back to sort of that your dad's legacy, your mom's legacy, like impact in Fort Worth, and this is like East Side. This is right, like.
Yeah,
explain what Community Frontline is.
And I'm laughing because Schaefer, I don't know if you know Schaefer, the
advertising
company. They work with us.
Love Ken Schaefer.
They're great, and they're helping us have an understanding of how to tell people what we do. And I have no idea still how to tell people what we do. So
give me your best shot.
Community Frontline is an organization that's inclusive to men to work and to help uplift their communities, but we're not exclusive to only men. But we do push for more men.
You're passionate about seeing men be leaders.
Be leaders in their community.
Yeah.
And by doing that, we work on 4 pillars.
Okay.
4 pillars that we focus on: education, police and community relationships, health.
Okay.
And the 4th is economic development.
Okay. So this is getting men leading, doing good stuff.
To help,
In police, what'd you say?
Police relationships.
Police relationships.
With the community, yeah.
Okay. And health and education. And a big part of it, from my understanding too, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, a big part of it is also around like race and racial, like...
community racial relationships.
And a big part of it's the East Side in particular as well.
So, and we do right now. Our focus is on the East Side because that's our home. Like that's where we grew up. We are pushing to do more on the North Side and the South Side and in West Side, basically Fort Worth in general.
Yeah.
And we do work all over Fort Worth, but our main focus has been the East Side. So we do things like Garden Day, community cleanups, movie nights where we go to this baseball field and watch movies with a whole bunch of families from the neighborhood. We do, we buy groceries for families. We help people with, I don't know what you would call it, but helping to pay rent for people who can't keep up with their rent.
Yeah.
We help people deal with domestic abuse. We have forums that deal with all subjects across the board from.
I feel like that's what I know y'all do all that really helpful give back stuff, but I feel like when I think of Community Frontline, I think a lot of it is pushing for hard, real, honest conversations and dialogues and raising awareness about certain things.
Yeah.
Like y'all have these forums where you talk. I feel like a lot of it's like challenging people and educating people and pushing people, especially like race, just in our city with what happened
with Tatiana.
And y'all were like at the forefront of saying things have got to change.
For sure. Leading
that discussion and dialogue. What does it look like for our relationship with the city of Fort Worth Police?
Did you say what does it look like?
Well, no. Y'all are saying. You're asking those questions,
and we've built these relationships with the police, from people that work in the streets all the way to the chief. Mm-hmm. We've built these relationships to be able to have an honest conversation with them, to yell at them, and to pat them on the back.
Yeah,
but our whole goal is to protect the community.
Yeah.
And in whichever way that looks like. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things we focus on. And we do talk about the race relationships especially from the race conversations that we have. Mm-hmm. But it's just so many. The problem is so many issues that's out here besides just race too that we deal with, especially during the pandemic. One of the main focuses that I know personally that I was pushing toward was the depression that was on the uprise. Mm-hmm. The depression and the low self-esteem and the anxiety that was happening and the results that was happening from that. Mm-hmm. Suicide was rising. Domestic abuse was rising. All these different things that was happening from people just being in their house. Mm-hmm. Like those are the things that we really pushed that too. We pushed a whole plethora of topics because it was just a crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody knows it was a crazy time. So,
and you helped start this?
Yes, I was one of the founders. So
okay, and this is like your same group of guys
that
from high school, right?
Yeah.
It's
so
like
except Derek.
Okay, yeah.
Derek Carson, he came in.
He was a friend of ours. Yeah.
Yeah, he came in later. I don't even know what year he came in, but he came in later. But
and how did it start? It started just with
Bible study.
Okay, just some guys getting together and reading the Bible.
We were having Bible study at Dunbar Middle School. Dunbar sixth grade center at the time. Mm-hmm. We were having Bible study, and we would just meet every Wednesday, and we did this for years. Mm-hmm. And then Philandro got killed, and when that happened, we went to some forums because we were really outraged and we just felt hurt. Mm-hmm. So we went to forums and we were noticing, like, the forums we were going to, there was two things that was happening. Okay. The first thing was it was a lot of women, a room full of women, and old men. Mm-hmm. That's just what the crowd was.
And that's generally the case with just any social. Men are generally kind of checked out.
Yeah, but that's because we have to.
And I'd say that's true even for me. My wife is way more
active
and cares about it and has to challenge me. You know, I'm saying that in all honesty. Like I think it's because women are more empathetic.
And then the second thing was, it would be a place to where people would go, they would yell and be upset, and then they would leave, and that would be it.
Nothing productive is happening.
Nothing happened
here.
after that. So we said, okay, well, let's have a forum, and we're going to call men out to come, and we're going to talk about things. We're going to bring up issues, and then we're going to move on them. And that was the whole plan.
Okay.
And then
that's pretty simple. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to do something.
We're going to figure out ways to do it. Yeah. And so we had it. We had the forum. 75 men were there.
Wow. How'd you get that many people?
It just and it was just fast. We did a call out. 75 young men were there too. That was the thing. They all came. We had a sit down and we had a real discussion on what are the problems in our communities and what are the things that we need to work on. Mm-hmm. And we did this big white chalkboard and we wrote down all the issues that were in our community, and it was like 50 different things. So we tried to categorize each thing.
And those became those pillars?
Well, we came up with 12 pillars.
Okay.
And those 12 pillars, it was hard to maintain them, but a lot of those ended up going together too.
Yeah.
So we did that. Like resources was something that we also could group in with a few other things that we're dealing with. What is that resource that we're looking for? But yeah, so we came up with ideas, concepts, we made groups, and then we just started tackling them in groups. And yeah, that's how everything
And you feel like it's made a difference in the community?
I feel like we made some major work. Yeah. The only issue is it's hard. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of like Superman. Like Superman is Superman. Yeah. He goes and he flies around and he saves the world repeatedly, and it just keeps happening. Like things just keep happening, and it's just going to continuously.
The world's
happen.
always going to be broke.
It's always going to be broke, and it doesn't feel like we're saving anything, but it feels like we're making some legwork. We're doing some things that are making a difference, but there's always still more work to do.
Yeah, so there's a heaviness to that. But I feel like y'all have challenged and inspired people, and I feel like you've also like helped change public perception on a lot of things. And started conversations that I think have been really helpful.
I think so.
And they made a movie out of it too, right?
Yeah. So TCU made a documentary called 76105. Dr. King Won't Rise. So just basically saying that we can't keep waiting on Dr. King to come back because he's not.
Yeah.
Dr. King, Malcolm X, none of these leaders from the past are going to come back. We have to be the new leaders of today.
That's a powerful title.
Yeah. That was inspired by Quentin's speech in Yale that he had at the 75 Men. He came in late from some event and yelled at everybody.
Oh, really?
And it was a great speech. And I was just like, Quentin, that was tough. I don't know, you're going to run people away. But he didn't. He inspired.
That's cool.
So, and one of the things, too, because we did start off as a Bible study, and I'm having your issue that you were having a few minutes ago with all that water. But
you got to.
I know. But the thing is, the thing about the Bible study we were having, it was religious-based, religion-based. And doing Community Frontline, we're not religion-based. Yeah. So we're not excluding anybody. We want everybody to be in there regardless of what you believe in. So that's why we had to move into Community Frontline so everybody can be a part of it and feel welcomed as well.
That's good. I love that you're doing that and have done that. Do you also see there's a correlation too between your heart for the city, your heart for the community, your heart for Community Frontline, and then also what you're doing with in the world of fashion? Do those correlate at all? Like, do they cross over at all?
I don't feel like it, and if it does, it's just something I'm not noticing.
Okay,
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know.
I feel like what you've done for fashion has made Fort Worth more vibrant. I feel like you're bringing fashion in. You're bringing style in. You're bringing I think it's both of those make our city more interesting, fun, and beautiful, and cool. So
I can see that. That definitely makes sense.
I want to talk a little bit about we started going there, but I'm curious about your relationship with your wife, with Mia, because we got two entrepreneurs in a household, and you have a restaurant owner, coffee shop owner, black coffee, and then you have you, which has you like, and both of y'all, you're in charge of everything. It all falls on your shoulders,
100%.
Which can be, like you said, all the work, the hard things that goes into that. Sometimes it's like super late hours. Sometimes when stuff goes bad, neither of you have like a 9-to-5 check in, check out, stable, normal job. When COVID hits, were y'all freaking out when COVID hit?
So when COVID hit,
because she opened in January, right?
She opened in November.
Okay, in November.
But the business, like COVID was her business. Like she's been through the COVID pandemic majority of the time she's been open, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So freaking out, yes. So I'm trying to figure out how to say things without getting in trouble. She freaks out a lot on certain things, but she can work herself back into the mode and understanding what she has and being able to work and make it function, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when when Black Coffee was in the pandemic and she had to close, she had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Can I do this? Am I just going to be closed these months? But what she did was she had already put a barn door on the side and she was getting ready to create a drive-through.
Oh, that's cool.
So she utilized that during the pandemic. So during the pandemic, she never was closed. Just nobody came in.
Yeah.
Everybody just drove up to the window
Wow.
and she was able to work and find a loophole.
Yeah.
And so me and her talked about that. But one of the things is we're always able to problem solve.
Mm-hmm.
So there's issues and problems with schedules in regards to somebody going to drop off the kids in the morning, picking up kids from school.
I know how hard that is because you both, the kid gets sick.
Yeah.
Who's going
to stay home?
Yeah.
Majority of the time, it's a mix of both.
Yeah.
But when staff is low on her side, like she has to fill in that void. Mm-hmm. Then I have to pick up on my side. Yeah. And so the other issue was, you remember I told you I was going to go back to school?
Yeah, okay.
Well, that school is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Oh my gosh.
By North Park.
Okay. Are you doing that right now?
No, I was going to, but I had to push it back.
Okay.
Because, which is a strange thing to say, this year was so phenomenal.
Yeah.
I did not have time to step away to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to pick it back up in fall. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And then do y'all challenge each other? Do y'all encourage each other? Is it like something you talk about?
Yes. So, challenging, yes. So I'm trying to see. So I wanted to move into shoes. I wanted to move into ties. I wanted to move into all these different things early when everything started, like around 2018, 2019, when I just moved into the showroom. Mm-hmm. And she told me, she was just like, and this is something that encouraged me, you need to learn to perfect your suits. Mm. Before you start moving into anything,
figure that out.
You need to figure this out.
Be the best at that.
Yeah, 100%.
And did you take that advice?
Yeah, 100%. So I didn't even get into shoes until this year.
So you have shoes now?
Yeah, I have shoes now, but I don't sell them yet.
These are your shoes?
Yes, but I don't sell them yet because I'm still perfecting them.
Oh, really?
So I'm still working on it. But
I need to get some shoes like that.
Yeah, these are comfortable. No shoestrings.
That's awesome.
And I can take them off at any time. Uh-huh. That's why I love it. But the same thing with her. She'll ask me questions about roast or what she should do business-wise and these things. So we feed off each other's advice and what we present to each other, and we kind of talk each other off of ledges sometimes. Yeah. When it comes to just issues that might come about. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
I can relate to that because my wife runs a nonprofit, started a nonprofit, also has a retail clothing, or not clothing, but a retail company that's Worthy Co. Yeah. And so both of us are entrepreneurs and both of us are crazy driven.
I know.
And so, and that's part of the attraction is we on date nights, we're like, talk about what are we going to do next? And we're really good at dreaming together, sometimes to a fault. Sometimes it's like all we did was just talk about work and what we want to do. And sometimes
I get that.
That's bad. But then also because we're both so driven and so passionate, it can also be like, we start butting heads.
But at least you guys are able to talk about the next steps and what it'll look like to each other. And you can have an understanding if something makes sense or if it even sounds right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And both of us always have an opinion. And there's never a situation where someone doesn't have an opinion because we're both freaking opinionated.
Well, the only time I don't have an opinion is when she's asking me something and I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So I'm not paying attention.
You're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to change the subject a little bit. What does wild success look like? Like 5 years from now, wild success.
Wild success.
What is that vision for the future?
Well, this is me spilling the beans, but I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Having my haberdashery.
Okay.
Having my haberdashery.
What the heck is a haberdashery?
So a haberdashery is a men's store to where
Is that your word or that's like a...
No, it's a real word.
Okay.
So basically sell men's shoes, socks, suits, shirts, whatever, underwear, deodorant. Mm-hmm. Just it's a place where people who wear menswear can go. That's whether male or female. They can just go. They can buy what they want.
So you want a store?
I want a storefront.
Okay.
That I don't work in.
Okay. Caveat.
Yes, because I don't want any 9 to 5 hours. I have an in-house, on staff group of tailors that are ready to do whatever at any time, and a few of those set up. And another suit location, like for bespokes, consultations and setups, kind
appointment
of like
only
in the showroom, appointment only, like I have now, and a few other cities.
Okay,
that is the goal. But I want it. It has to make sense. It has to have clothiers that are flowing and constantly making money and bringing in people and driven to succeed in the business. That's the major. So that last part, having clothiers that really want to succeed in the business, that's working with me. Yeah, I would love that. That's my success story.
That's cool. So having a couple locations and having this haberdashery. Yeah, kind of
like Drew has. Drew,
Drew Jones.
Yeah.
What's his company?
Harper and Jones.
Harper and Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he changed it. Yeah.
That's another clothier.
Yes. But I don't mind mentioning anybody because nobody's.
There's enough business out there for you. There's business out there for him. Yeah. That's
nobody's gonna stop eating.
An abundance mentality.
Right.
Was there a moment where you were like, man, we've talked a lot about the wave and the success and things working. Was there a moment, maybe it's recently, where you were just like, it's happening. This is real. Like, was there like a particular moment where you're like, where you stopped back and took it all in and were like, I can't believe it?
Yes, it was recently because I was having a conversation with people, with a friend of mine, Jamey, and he's a grower. He grows plants.
Okay.
A particular plant.
Okay.
And a particular type of plant.
Okay.
And the way he was growing it is ingenious. The way he's doing it and mixing these strands and creating these things, it's ingenious. So I told him to look at what he's doing and look at what he's creating, and it's amazing. Like, people don't do that. And then at that moment, I also realized that that's something that I needed to do myself. So I kind of stopped in that moment, and I just looked at what I had created or where I was sitting. Just the fact that I started off going door to door to people, like going to the house, meeting people at Starbucks or different coffee shops to do consultations. And now I'm sitting in this building where I'm sitting in my office that I just adding so much greatness to it. And it's just like, wow, like I'm doing this full time and I'm successful.
And so you were able to step back and be like, man, this is.
And I don't do that often because one of the issues with driven entrepreneurs is it's hard for us to sometimes stop and actually appreciate where we are.
100% and be present.
Because we know where we're trying to go, or we know what the next step is. We might not know where we're trying to be in the next 5 to 10 years, but we know what we're trying to do next.
Yeah.
So it's just hard.
So you had one of those moments recently.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. I'm so proud of you.
I didn't break down and cry or anything.
Yeah.
But I don't mind.
But it's good for your soul to do that.
100%.
It's good. Gratefulness. You can't have anxiety. You can't have stress. You can't worry. You can't be angry and be grateful at the same time. When you are being grateful, when you're reflecting and present, like, it kind of washes those away.
And I was looking at my Scotch collection at the time.
You have a full Scotch collection?
Because I have a Japanese whiskey collection.
Okay.
And I have a Scotch collection. And I was just looking
I need to come to the studio, apparently.
I definitely agree. I definitely think so. And I was looking at it, I'm very particular about the ones I buy, but I was just looking at the years that were on my bottles, and I was like, wow. I remember when, like, I was drinking Rock and Rye, and I was just like, this is the one. And now I'm just at this, and I'm not at a huge level. I'm not like grand or anything, but I'm very particular about my whiskeys.
You got some fancy whiskeys and scotches, is what you're saying.
I have some very fancy whiskeys, and I was just kind of looking at it like, wow.
I could never have bought this 10 years ago. Kind of
100%.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't fathom it.
Yeah.
But when I have a great month, I splurge.
Yeah.
And I enjoy myself.
Yeah. I love that. You know what we did not talk about either is like today's your birthday.
Today is my birthday.
Happy
39.
birthday.
Thank you.
I'm so
Thank you.
I am honored that you would spend it today.
I just hope I didn't bore everybody. That's the
man,
number
this
one
was
thing.
so part of the reason we're doing this, and people have heard me say this time and time before, is one, to encourage people. I think when people hear someone's story, how you started, how you got into it, and that you chased your dreams, that you took that leap, that you this idea of like a wave, all that stuff. My hope is that encourages people.
Right.
That other people are like, hear that and like, man, I could do that.
100%.
One, and then two, the way you learn things as a business owner, as an artist, whatever it is either by trial and error and making mistakes,
100%.
or by being in proximity to people who have gone before you. And you sharing what you have shared, like not everybody's going to get a chance to sit down and pick your brain for a couple hours the way that we've just done it.
But it's possible.
Yeah. Well, but my hope here is that people would learn. You get to share some of these lessons, and things you've learned along the way. That's why we're doing this.
And I wanted to say, like, one of the things that was a part of my aha moment, and I've had this a lot recently. I was thinking about the business that I'm doing, right? So the fact that, yes, I might make suits for people all over the nation. I'm not international with making suits with people, but I was thinking about the relationships I have. Like, I do business all around the world. And it kind of blew my mind when I thought about it. Like, I have friends in Thailand that I talk to that make certain linings for me. I have friends in Great Britain that I talk to who we talk about their children and how everybody's doing. And they create my fabrics.
Wow.
Or India, I grab fabrics from over there because they go to the market. I have people in India that go to the market for me. Like, I have these relationships with friends in London, and I've never been in a position to where I can go somewhere and I know I have friends there.
That's cool.
And it's very interesting for me as an adult not as an adult, but just as a man from Stop 6 East Side to say, I do business and I have relationships all around the world. Yeah. And it's just interesting.
It's international. That's cool.
Yeah.
And just, that's a cool story. Hopefully this inspires anybody can do that. If you just follow your dreams, follow your passions. Okay, one last question, then we'll wrap it up. So today's your birthday, so this question 100%. Is even more meaningful. If you could go back, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, is there any advice that you would give your younger self?
Yes.
What would that be?
Be better about your business.
What does that mean?
It means tighten up on everything, like the flow of your business. Make sure you get your QuickBooks together. Make sure you get your order, the way that you do things. Make sure that you have an understanding of how things are and organize it properly. Just because there's a lot of headaches that I wouldn't have had to deal with.
If you paid more attention to the business side.
If I paid more attention to the business side, there's a lot of money that wouldn't have been lost. There's a lot of issues that wouldn't have happened. I just would have had a better understanding, and things would have flowed differently. I just know if you have a clean house and you have your business in order, that things are just in better position. Like things are just better. Yeah. And so
that's a good bit of advice.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. Like doing music.
Right.
I remember when we got our record deal, I was like, I don't got to think about the business side. I got managers, I got booking agents, I got all this stuff. I don't have to think about that. I'm just going to care about the music. And it's like, what a disaster that got me into. We had money missing and stolen from us. All these things go wrong because we checked out. So I can relate to that.
Yeah.
You can't just do the art. You can't just do the fashion. Like, you gotta pay attention to the business side of it too.
And that's why the pandemic was so great for me. Whoa, that sounds terrible. I had family members die, so it wasn't great. Yeah. But it really gave me a time to sit down and really just get my shit together.
Yeah. And when you have that fear, like, we don't know what's gonna happen. Right. You probably were freaking out like, am I going to lose them? Are people going to buy clothes? Which forces you to tighten up.
It did. Yeah. It did. And it also made me understand what is the next plan? Like, if I know this sounds weird to say, but I was like, if my tailors just pass away,
yeah, what are you gonna do?
What's the next plan? Like, what is the backup? Mm-hmm. So then you have to start getting a backup for your moves.
Yeah,
but I know that's
good. That's good advice. Well, man, I am inspired by you. I love what you're doing, man. I think it's really fun. Your story is inspiring, and you're just making really, really cool stuff. If people want to learn more about you, how do they find you, and how do they, if someone's like, I want to look like this guy, well, how do they get a suit?
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, _Frank, or Franklin and Anthony on Instagram. Twitter is F&A Customs, Quite Frank on Twitter. Facebook, Quite Frank. Also, Franklin and Anthony. You can go to our website, www.franklinanthony.com. You can go to communityfrontline.com or www.communityfrontline.com. You can give me a call. You can reach out. You can text me. And we can set up a consultation for a suit, or we can set up coffee just to talk. I mean, I'm pretty much, because I feel like
you're gonna get people blowing up your phone.
Well, I'm not tripping, because I feel like when you meet people, learning people's story, having an understanding of people, it helps me grow as an individual.
I love it.
I should read more, because that would really help too. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, man, thanks for joining us. This was a ton of fun.
Yes,
all right,
definitely.
We're out. Thank you. Okay. Congratulations, you made it all the way to the end. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Stories with Soul. If you enjoyed the interview and like what you heard, please help us out and share, subscribe, and like anywhere you listen to podcasts. When you share and subscribe, it is insanely helpful and allows us to keep producing new episodes. You can always join us directly in the studio by watching the video version on our website, 6thAveStorytelling.com. Stories with Soul is brought to you by 6th Ave Storytelling, an organic marketing company building standout brands on the foundation of story. You're obsessed with your business, and we want to make the world obsessed with it too. Thanks for listening.